The OnePlus 6 was a great phone, and I and a lot of others gave it raving reviews. And those others mostly did the same for the OnePlus 6T, its successor, but can it really do enough to differentiate itself? Hey, I'm Brian, and this is the OnePlus 6T. PureVPN not only encrypts your traffic so you can browse more privately and securely, it also bypasses geo-blocking, so you can enjoy Netflix US or your country's sports coverage anywhere in the world. And the best thing is that you can try it risk-free for 31 days and get full access starting at only a couple of bucks a month. So check out PureVPN at the link in the video description. Because it makes a lot of sense, I'm going to center this review mostly about the differences, or lack thereof, to the 6. What hasn't changed though is that you can save money if you buy a 6T through the link in the video description, but at least wait for the conclusion before pulling the trigger. The first and most notable difference is in the design, but not on the back. The phone is a little taller and slimmer, but it still has the same satisfyingly clicky buttons and choice of materials. I still like the mirror black better than the midnight black of the 6T I have here, despite this matte glass not looking scratched as easily as the pixels. This is not because mirror black attracts more fingerprints, but because it's a lot less slippery than this version. But OnePlus does at least include a case to make that not as much of an issue. They also include a dongle, because this phone doesn't have a headphone jack anymore. I personally haven't plugged something into that port on a phone in years, I actually almost forgot it's not there, but if you don't want to give up your wired headphones, this is something to bear in mind. What's also missing is the fingerprint sensor on the back, since that's now hidden in the screen. It's nice that it's on the front, I'll give it that. And it is a sensational new technology, but it just doesn't work that well yet. Most of the time it's fine, you put your finger down in any orientation, it takes a second and unlocks. But the problem isn't just that it's slower. Sometimes it tries to read indefinitely and doesn't recognize your finger, so you have to try again, which hopefully works. So it's not bad, but it's noticeably less fast and reliable than a traditional sensor. The second change on the front is the smaller water drop notch that goes along with the smaller chin. It definitely looks better and gives you more screen real estate, but you also lose out on the notification LED, which is frustrating because there's no always-on display. But I don't like that the corners of the screen are now rounded so much that they cut off elements at the bottom, and if you hide the notch, the black bar gets wider than on the 6. That display, by the way, is a 6.4-inch AMOLED that still sports 1080p resolution, but that's honestly fine. Other than that, it's a bit brighter and cooler than the 6's screen, but it has the same great colors and deep blacks. Quickfire round. Dual SIM is here, so is the handy alert slider. What is still missing is proper certified water resistance, even if it should survive the rain, and there are no stereo speakers and no wireless charging. And both of these omissions still bother me. You can still charge it in under an hour with fast charge, but you won't need to do that as often because the bigger 3700 mAh battery gives you around 6 to 7 hours of screen on time, which definitely goes beyond the day. The phone also now comes standard with 128GB of storage, which is nice. The storage is still paired with the same 6 or 8GB of RAM and the Snapdragon 845 though. The McLaren edition has 10GB, but you should not spend €699 on that unless you're a super fan. But quite frankly, a new CPU also wasn't needed because this phone is just super fast, probably the fastest out there. Also largely due to Oxygen OS on top of Android Pie being so close to stock while only including sensible additions. The 6T also comes with some new ones of those. The new gestures are very nice, reasonably smooth, and you can long press the power button to get to the assistant, so you don't lose out on that. It is worth mentioning though that all the new features, apart from the over-the-top airplane mode animation, also made their way onto the 6. I still appreciate the tons of customization and theming options. Lastly, the cameras. They're the exact same as on the 6. You're welcome. No, but seriously, I think I said this before, while you can trust a Pixel to always wow you with its photos, the 6T will at least never disappoint you. The pictures always look good, just not always spectacular. The same is true for Nightscape, which works and is better than not having it in bad lighting, but it's not as groundbreaking as Night Sight on a Pixel. You can still record 4K 60 and 720p at 480fps in slow motion, and I have nothing to complain about with the selfie camera and portrait mode. When the part with the specs and analysis gets shorter, the conclusion usually gets longer, because things aren't as clear. This is no different this time. As I said before, the OnePlus 6 was a definite favorite of mine when I reviewed it. And the 6T is better, so everything's fine then, right? Buying recommendation without reservations? Unfortunately not quite. The OnePlus 6 is heavily discounted in a lot of places, making it about €100 cheaper than the 6T. For that money, you get the better design, the more sensational but less reliable fingerprint sensor, and you trade better battery life and more storage for the headphone jack. Plus, for a little cheaper, you can now get phones like the S9 or G7. They aren't better in every way, but at their now lower prices, you should at least take them into consideration. The 6T just doesn't really do enough to make it the clear winner, which is interesting given that OnePlus said they would only make T variants when there has been enough improvement. Don't get me wrong, this is a great phone, a greater one than the last one. But in the latter half of the cycle, when other phones' pricing becomes more competitive, that's just not quite enough to wow people anymore. Thanks to OnePlus for giving me the 6T for review, and again, if you want to pick one up for yourself, remember the link in the video description. If you enjoyed this video, you know which buttons to press, and don't forget to press that follow button on Twitter. I'm Brian, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.